Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode, we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, I'm joined by James Johnson, founder of Peer Effect, a coaching and advisory platform dedicated to scaling founders and VCs-backed startups. With a mission to help early-stage companies build no-excuse teams, strong leadership systems, and scalable processes, James works with founders to transform early hustle into structured growth, enabling them to scale to 10 mil plus and beyond. James, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, my pleasure, Olivia. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm excited to dive in. So typically with all of my guests, I do like to start at the beginning of their journey. So do you mind taking me back briefly to what it was that you was doing before you started up Peer Effect? And then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
Yeah, sure. Very happy to. So I suppose before this, I scaled a business up to 88 people across 5 countries and then sold it in 2020. And I suppose that was quite an interesting experience because it was a good challenge, but also I had a coach myself during that process. I had a coach for 6 years, but I got myself to a stage where I was sort of successful but broken. And from the outside, it looked everything was really working, but then just the personal consequences of that sort of success were increasing. And my wife and I were trying to have a kid, a whole range of things. And what's been really interesting is since becoming a coach, I just see that same pattern playing out again and again. And although now it looks like it's obvious that's what I would have done, I think now that I've been doing this for 5 years, I thought, you're always going to become a founder coach. Actually, at the time, it was an accident because sold the business, we're thinking about what next. And then just out of interest, decided to do a coaching qualification to learn some more skills, to learn more about people. To maybe my original thing was it might make me a better manager. And then as part of the qualification, it's like a 6-month program. You had to get like practice clients. So I ended up with kind of this nascent coaching business by mistake. And then my network, when they realized I'd sold, came to me like, oh, can you give me some advice around my business? So I built this mini advisory practice as well. And so without really intending to, so 6 months in, I had this kind of coaching and advisory business, which I realized, A, I really enjoyed it, but also seemed to having real impact on the sort of founders I was working with. And having been doing this for a while and being very specialist in this scaling phase, it meant I was quite clear. I'd experienced the pains myself. I'd solved the pains myself. And actually, I got to work with really great people. I love founders, like scaling founders, like super challenging role, but really interesting people doing really interesting things. So it's a real joy to do.
Yeah, so the hard work definitely pays off with the fulfilling side of it coming through. And amazing that it naturally happened. So as you say, you just fell into the role and just took it from there, which is a really nice natural approach to coaching as well. So let's dive into the business a little bit more then so the listeners can have some context moving forward. I know you mentioned they're founders, but who would you say is your ideal customer for this? Who is perfect for like your services? And then from there, how is it you help them and how do you support them?
So I would say to my client, like I work with scale-up founders because there's a big difference between startup to scale-up.
Yeah.
And you have certain habits and rules that work for you in the startup phase, and there's a certain way you need to do it. When you start moving into the scale-up phase, the whole game changes. And what happens is if you don't change your approach, you end up burning out or not being successful because a lot of things that got you here won't get you there. And so what I work with my clients on is how you change yourself. So how you shift from what I call being a founder to a CEO. Like it's less about doing it yourself and more about making it happen for other people. And then the big thing, if you look at the org chart of a startup versus scale up, there's this big blob in the middle, which is your management team that didn't really exist in the early stage. People generally aren't very good at management. We tend not to be trained in it. But ultimately, if you want to scale a business, you need a really cohesive, effective management team. And so I help them I've got a no excuses framework that I built over the last 20 years since I started off doing a business turnaround for a multinational in Asia. And a lot of my experience is there from that. I developed this framework. And so what I find is that I help these founders make this transition from this kind of like maybe they're feeling off track, maybe they're feeling under pressure, maybe they're feeling overwhelmed. But if they can make the shift from founder to CEO, if they can make their management team super cohesive and high performing, if they can get alignment between themselves and management team,
Yeah.
suddenly you find that not only does their business start scaling more smoothly and faster, but they're just enjoying the process a lot more because it's not just them. And so I think what's nice about this is I both understand the problem, but I can also really go, okay, practically, here's some things you can try. Change these habits as a founder, like change these practices in your management team. It's both strategic, but also very practical.
Yeah, amazing. And as you say, not everyone is born to be a leader. So it's like those skills, they're very good at what they do, but putting into that new role of going from what might be a mama papa business is what I would call it, or a startup founder, to that having a team, managing people, becoming that next level CEO is such a big shift sometimes for a lot of people, moving out of their zone of brilliance and really into a company. So amazing to have that support. And then what would you say is a typical issue that you help people overcome them when they're in those early stages of scaling?
Suppose I see two main ones. So one is just I work with a couple of clients where they're almost like sort of a week away from giving up their business. And it's not because it's not a good business, it's not making money, it's not growing. It's just because the personal consequence of that business is becoming ever greater. Like they're working really long hours, they are sacrificing other stuff. And it feels that sort of message they're receiving is like we look on LinkedIn, it's like hustle culture. And that is certainly true for a startup bit. It's really not for the scale up bit. But they can feel trapped by their own business, work their own business, it's a successful, broken idea. So that is a very common pain point to go, okay, how
Yeah.
do I break out of this? How do I get myself in a good place? And then the second one sometimes is just a sense of what now? Because you've unlocked all these other opportunities in the startup phase. It's quite survival. Whereas suddenly,
Mm.
like you've got more money, you've got more people, you could almost do a whole range of things. And sometimes people can become a bit becalmed in terms of
Okay.
what is my new focus? And actually just sitting down and like going, okay, what's your strategy? How do we simplify it? What's your new vision that really excites you? Unlocks that kind of next energy and simplicity. Like what I found is that founders are they're great at getting things done. And once they're clear on what they're trying to do, often
Yeah.
there's nothing can get in the way, but they can become becalmed when they're like, there are too many options or they're not sure, or there's sometimes a dissonance between where they want to be and what they're actually doing. So actually just
Mm.
getting all that out on the table and going, okay, let's examine all this, simplify it, off you go.
Yeah, so like reevaluating their goals, and I suppose even a sense of like their form of success. What is it that we're looking to achieve next? Like we hit that level. Now, what's that spark that's going to drive us to, as you say, get the ball rolling on something else and focus that concentration and just do what you're good at?
What that success point's a really nice one because
Yeah.
often we define what success is quite early in our life. Like maybe when before we start work, maybe even when we're a child, we get influenced by something. But actually taking a step back, going, what does success even mean to us
Mm.
now? And then building a company and a life around that updated vision rather than maybe the slightly childish, superficial,
Yeah.
old definition that we may be playing the wrong game. We may not want to build an 1,000 person business. We might want to build a 10 person business. Like we might want to build a 10,000, but let's make a conscious choice and see what do we actually want.
Yeah, no, fully. Because success is like often thrown upon people, like what success looks like. It's a very societal pressure and it's a very personal thing, in my opinion. It's what do you want to do? What does success look like for you? As you say, it could be scaling to 10 million, it could be having a team of 20, or it could just be having six figures and a team of two. We need to redefine what that is for you and what where you're comfortable. Amazing. And James, I'm curious to see is how you go about acquiring your customers at the moment. So like what channels and methods are you finding most effective in doing so?
So I would say 95% of my clients come through referral,
Okay.
both existing client, old client network. And I think because coaching is quite a personal, it's quite high value, it's high impact, it's quite a personal relationship
Mm.
that works. And because I only work with 10 to 12 people at a time,
Okay.
just to really make sure I can really be there for them. It's not like I need a lot of clients because I also tend to work people for quite a long time. Not my longest client I've been working with. I've got two clients I've been working for 5 years since I started,
Wow.
pretty much. Because actually it's very symbiotic. The better they do, the more challenges they have, the faster they're growing, the more questions they've got. So actually, there's no reason why you can't. There's people listening. There's no commitment. I'm not tying my clients into like lifetime coaching contracts.
You've got a new partner for life in
Yeah,
James
yeah,
coming through.
yeah. Here we go. Married. But I do also get some through. I do a podcast, Career Effect podcast. I get some clients either who are listeners or guests on that. But it has been an interesting journey in terms of going. Maybe I haven't. It's only really been this year that I'm not actually thinking about what a business development, like a conscious business development strategy could be like, as I've started thinking about how can I have a wider impact than just retention. I just done the second pilot of a program called No Excuses, which is based on my framework that I developed. That's really like how you create like an effective management team and be an effective manager and leader. That requires, I can do more than 10 to 12 people at a time on that. So I've started thinking about, the
possibilities.
What a growth strategy should look like for that.
Sitting down as one of your clients with yourself and making that plan as to what it will look like for you moving forward. It's a bit of a shift from helping other people sometimes to actually helping yourself. So great. So you've got referrals coming through the podcast as well, which sounds amazing. And then, so I'm assuming it's mainly one-on-one if you're looking to add other offers. So it's a lot of high contact points with your clients at the moment as well. So a lot of support on your side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I would say 90% of the work I do is one-to-one. I do like team workshops where I'll work with my clients and sit down with their team for a day and like facilitate conversation. I do strategy days for them where I help them as a group coalesce their strategy. And I do have this program I've done, but I would like to see that split sort of change from 90-10 to maybe more like 50-50 maybe. But things I do love to do one-to-one stuff because that's where you really see that build that relationship. And as I thought, founders are super cool. It's super energizing spending time with them.
Yeah, I can imagine. But a program would be amazing, as you say, just another way of just reaching as many people as possible. And then I suppose, what is your like vision moving forward? Are you planning to scale this and maybe have a team yourself? What is that goal when you think about it for you?
It's interesting because when I started this, I was very clear that I wouldn't have a team. And then I do have a team. Because I was about to say, doing the podcast actually takes quite a lot of time. And so to do it really well does require having, I think, people dedicated to doing it. I have a team of 2 focused on different things, like making sure like operation experience and just podcast and a few other things. As the sort of the more sort of program stuff takes off, that might change. So I'm unsure at the moment, but I'm open to either route. But I think generally think that I would preach to all my clients is though keep your team as lean as you can and make sure that you have A's, because much better to have a few really high quality people than lots of people for the sake of it, people who are not great.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and also it helps with, as you mentioned, pretty much at the start of the podcast with that vision and everyone being in line and in sync moving forward. It's a nicer approach sometimes having that streamlined system. So we're sitting in the middle, and I like the fact that you're open to both paths as well. We're not sure which way we're going to go, but you're very accepting to see what might develop. And I suppose like, where are you finding the biggest challenge for yourself in making a decision or in kind of what way you'll go?
So I think whenever I try and push something, I feel that's the wrong path to take. I think something that's helped, has been a really good just principle for me is like being led by my clients. So for example, like one of my clients I mentioned who for 5 years, I created a program because he asked for my help and help him with his management team. So I can't do that one-on-one. So therefore I need to I can do this though. That has then led to other clients saying, "Oh, that sounds cool. Can you do that for me?" And then so it's in response to demand. And so I think, ironically, this is something I talked to my clients about the whole time, is if you're not rushing, it's when you rush that you find yourself taking the wrong decisions and wasting energy and spinning your wheels. Whereas if you're clear where you're trying to get to and just a little bit let your own momentum take you there and not try and like short circuit something, do it in 1 year when it should be done in 3 or in a month when it should be done in 6. it'll take care of itself. So that was sounding too fatalist. I think it's been client-led. I think if
Yeah.
it's in service of my clients, then it's going to lead to opportunities. If it's just in service of me, then it probably won't. Or at least not. I'm a big believer. One thing we often don't talk about is like retention rate. Like I
Yeah.
think a high churn rate. A lot of businesses have quite a high churn rate, and they don't look at enough. I think if you're providing a really good service and you have a high retention rate, and therefore you'll get higher, like you may not grow as fast in a year. You can cold call your way to quite a lot of business, or you can slash and burn your way some business. But if you want to, over 5 years, 10 years, that just quality compounds. I'm a big believer in. So always coming
Yeah.
back to that principle, like what's in service of the client.
I love it. So just trusting the process. And it's got you very well so far. So continue that along. Beautiful. And James, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out to work with you or connect with you if they would like to do so?
So you can find me on LinkedIn. Probably the easiest way is hello@peer-effect.com. And the website is just www.peer-effect.com. There's lots of info on sort of what we do, how we do it. And yeah, very happy to chat some.
Amazing. Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you again for joining us. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to go and check out James and all the amazing work that he's doing. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from $0 to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing and we will see you on the next one.